hello, kind of Schrodinger's audience, because we're not sure if we're going to put this online yet or not, because we wanted a veto. So I'm aware I do these introductions, and I regularly never stick anything online. But welcome. This is a diet playtest. This is getting inching close to actually being released in some form. This is Die-Core. This is basically the very drilled down fundamental experience of Die, and it's kind of got a lot of things that guide the game into ways which make it easy to run in a very reliable way, hopefully. And it will be played on a number of sessions, and we're going to go and see what happens. Like, first, what happens though is we are a group of. We have to show it who we are, right? I'm going to introduce everyone. I'm Kieran. I'm he, him. I have played RPGs forever and on and off in that kind of. I've been more broadly interested in games, and depending what bit of games I'm interested in, just changed over my life. And I designed this game. And everyone else introduce yourselves in a clockwise order. So Ella first, please.
Okay, I'm Ella, she, her. I work in podcasting mostly and audio fiction. My relationship with games is I've been playing them for about 10 years, and the pandemic finally pushed me over the edge into actually designing them. So now I'm also a game designer.
Excellent.
Max. Hi, I'm Max, they, them, and I'm essentially a baby role player. I've been playing for about 2 years, and I mostly just tag along Ella's games because I think in the past 2 years I've played one game without her. I'm also a digital artist.
I am Ava. She or they pronouns are great. I write and produce stuff for a website called Shut Up and Sit Down that is all about mostly board games, but occasionally leans into role-playing game stuff. I have, to some extent, I've arguably been playing role-playing games since I was about 9, when I had an awful incident with my terrible brother that completely derailed my first attempt at actually being a GM at like far too young to know what I was doing, where he killed the quest-giving dragon, and I don't even know how he did it, because it was I don't know. Anyway, I have been playing games with them, but I've always struggled to be playing role-playing as much as I would like. Like, I'm hugely enthusiastic about it, and I am very, very bad at getting things going and actually getting stuff played. So I still feel like a baby role player, even though I have been doing it every now and then, a little bit every now and then for a very long time. Yeah.
I joined the Gauntlet, which is an online community thing, and I'm like, I've played RPGs quite a bit, but not like there's people there play like 4 or 5 games a week, and it's like, I'm nothing compared to that level of actual experience. But you have to make you think, if Dungeons and Dragons, if you actually kill the dragon, you're left with just a game called Dungeons, which is an interesting alternate dimension. Okay, right. We are all we're a group of people, all of us. At one point in our life, we played a normal fantasy role-playing game, and we've gathered together to play a new game together. We're now going to answer questions both individually and as a group to work out who we are and exactly how we're all messed up. Right. This stage is basically called persona generation. Personas are who you are in the real world. There's a set, like in Die-Core, there's groups of set questions of basically play sets of scenarios of how these people knew each other. I'm going to use the first one, which is the kind of like the core Die-Core bit. It's called Reunited, and the concept is, I quote, you all used to play fantasy role-playing together. Sorry, you all used to play fantasy RPGs together as teenagers at school. Now, years down the line, you're all back in town for a school reunion and have decided to get together to play a game for old time's sake. It's worth noting, like, the questions, I've put them on a PDF, which is in the shared Google Doc folder. So if you want to read along at home and sort of like have a see where this is going, that's all there for you too. Next thing, which I'm going to read aloud, all players should feel to ask each other further questions inspired by these. So in other words, like, if we really get excited, like, and you want to know more about something, do like put your hand up and ask, etc. Okay. The first question is, it says the group answers. Why did the group get together? Question mark. They were the only kids at school that ever dream of playing an RPG. They were the arty kids from the drama society. They were the tension kids and the smokers from behind the bike sheds, or something else. Like, Ella raises a hand. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I have an idea for this. So there is a thing, and I don't know if Max will ever experience this, but I very much experienced it, where I had a group of friends and we were all the weirdos at school. And then when we became adults, we found out that it was that we were all queer and we didn't know it. And at the time, we were all like, oh, we're just congregating together for no reason. And it's hard to understand. And there's not really anything clear that puts us in common, but we all do feel like a bond against our fellow students and we don't know what it is. And then subsequently, literally all of them have come out as some flavor of like trans, queer, gay, but like, you know. So I kind of like the idea that as babies, we were all queer, but maybe some of us had figured it out, but not all of us had. And some of us were like, hey, all of my friends are gay or bi or trans, and I'm definitely straight, and I'm just a really good ally. And then like maybe like as adults, we're kind of like, that is what was happening. I kind of like the idea of doing that if you want.
That really makes me want to like dig in and find all of my old school friends and find out whether they're all gay and trans now, because I can imagine that. I can picture it.
There's actually in the Google Docs, there's another thing called notes, and I'll be keeping notes because, you know, that's what the game's about in this. But I've paraphrased that as all joined together by queer gravity. Which is like something entirely recognisable, and again, I'm up for that. That sounds fantastic. Max, you call that?
Oh, more than cool with that, but I would have just said it way more like shortly. I would have just said anime club.
Yeah. I was just like, I like to, yeah. That thing is like, in some ways, you know, how we define things is always interesting, because it's kind of like someone could said like, what does that? Because I'm going to ask them, you know, we the random queer kids at school, but what did we do? You know what I mean? Like was it just like the social group? Was it, you know, this is shit we get to talk about. Okay, next question. What was the school like? Was it, you know, an expensive private school? Was it an average comprehensive? Was it a shithole? Was it something else? Have anyone got any particular appealing on that list? Feel free to raise your hand if you do. I've got no strong preferences here, certainly. Or anything weirder in that way. I mean, average comp works fine, you know. But
I went to like 7 different kinds of school growing up.
Oh wow! You should write this section.
No, so genuinely, it's like kind of hard for me to pick. I mean, I feel like I find it interesting, like either like maybe like an international school, because I find them just fascinating as like weird microcosms of culture of a bunch of people who don't really know why they're there. I say this with love to my fellow international kids, but I also did go to a Jesuit boarding school, which was a trip. And I can tell you that like that will create a lot of weirdly specific background, but it depends on how comfortable you are with Jesuit/Catholics. And honestly, like,
yeah,
I'm personally ambivalent about them. So
I mean, you'll have to push me through it, but
I would say like getting, unless it was something we all immediately got, I would say going too weird on the school is like it's something we immediately, as in we're okay. Here's up some head. Oh, we're a cult, and we get to make up the cult. Means we're all on the same page. Like I was raised Catholic, and I don't know enough about Jesuits to like to convincingly role play a Jesuit school. Like,
most people at Jesuit schools are not Jesuits. They're at a Jesuit school because their parents were told that it was a good school, and they ended up there. And now I know a lot more about Ignatius Loyola than I ever wanted to know. But yeah, no, like I mean, I'm not invested either way. Like I'm kind of happy with whatever.
I mean, we could be as broad as like, I mean, if you want to get some, yes, Andy. So like, just if we could define as broad as a school with a strong religious component, or you know, like without defining it necessarily yet, because but like I'll be fine with that if people.
I mean, I quite like the international school idea. Like, I don't have any context for that. I've got no idea what that's like, but I think there's something interesting in the sort. I can picture some of it and imagine that being quite an intriguing thing. So I kind of prefer that idea. I did go to a like not non-strict, not too weird Catholic school. Although we did have like a little farm, which I always thought was the most bizarre thing that I thought was entirely normal until I like talked to people who went to other schools and realized that most schools don't have a tiny farm on them.
That's amazing.
That's adorable. For me, it was the kneeling in front of a statue of Mary before dinner on Saturdays. That was when I was like, oh no. When you're a teenager and you're growing and you're really hungry, it's the worst. I like an international school. I think that would be really cool.
I personally don't think those are incompatible.
No.
And I think we could do something really fun with that. But I am willing to do. I mean, anything works.
I mean, I guess like Ava, it depends on like where you feel with including religion. I'm pretty neutral about it.
Super neutral.
So I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
like.
super neutral. I'm not.
So maybe
I have
let's go without
yeah.
it. Sorry.
I would suggest going into international school, and if we actually end up feeling stronger later, we can add more religious elements. And especially because religion is sort of thing you can bring in on the character anyway. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be. That's the sort of thing that may come up in the conversation, especially some of the questions I can see head overs. So international school is great by me. Okay, but my persona, because I also make a persona, I ran the game. What was the name of the fantasy world where the game was set? And we've got a list of 3 cliched RPG worlds here, which are the Eternal Empire of the Fan, the Fields of the Zephyr Children, the Shadowlands, or somewhere else. Has anyone got a good bad fantasy world name? Because remember, we were all teenagers, so it's no need to stress quality here.
Now, I'm a big fan of the last one.
The Shadowlands.
The Shadowlands. I think that kind of like naming structure really speaks to me and my kind of fantasy stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the Shadowlands, you sort of imagine like saying that as a teenager and sort of meaning it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like very, very sincere.
Yeah. That's very for real.
Like,
Anyone object to the Shadowlands? Or sorry, Ava?
Well, the only note that I would give is that like my I think just teenage Manic Street Preachers fandom means that like I feel I want there to be a neon in there. Like,
Oh my
I feel
god!
like teenagers want there to be a neon there. So like the Neon Shadowlands, the neon.
I'm on the Neon Shadowlands. Is that okay, Max?
I mean, yes, that sounds amazing.
That's fantastic.
Rad.
No, this is it's well known. This is going exactly as planned, as in that kind of like, yep. As in, like, sorry, going back to game design, here are some ideas, and then people meant to hack them.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
How many years has it been since we've left school? The suggestions are 5, 10, 20, or something else.
I mean, IRL, it's been 10 years since I left school, so I feel like if I go too far away from that, I'm gonna start doing that thing where I'm making up an experience that I don't understand. So I feel like I would find it a little bit hard to do 20, but I would feel a bit weird if it was too close, although I don't know.
Yeah, 10 years is a good number.
Yeah, I think 10's fine. I think 10's fine. I think I've been away from school for nearly. Oh God, I think I might have been for nearly 20. That's
yeah. Please,
I suddenly realise.
No, I certainly have. I've been forever. 10 years. So 10 years is a good number. That means we're all pushing 30 then,
Cool.
which is also a good number.
Wait, hang on, pause.
Just because I have a really specific idea for a character, would it be possible if I were like somebody's younger sibling, just so I could be younger at this point?
Sure.
Totally okay.
No, as in this is fine. It's worth noting, like, in this very basic playset, we don't have questions about younger siblings, but the second playset, which is basically more sort of school, has questions about siblings. So you just define yourself as siblings when we get to the point, and that's great. Like, yeah. Okay, each player asks this. The question here is, at the most basic level, how would people describe you at school? And they've got a list of, like, here's a bunch of standard sort of cliches, or cliches of ways people see each other. Academic A student, class joker, just plain creepy, jock, so quiet they were almost invisible, an elitist snob, a tech nerd, a hard case, a bully, and something else. And then the follow-on question is, that's the stereotype of you. In what way are you different from that stereotype? So, like, I'd have to say, that's just like a list of ideas. So if anyone's got a particular sort of core way they see each other, because, like, to be honest, I can think of 6 more off the top of my head instantly. But, like, has anyone got an idea of, which of those archetypes they're most like?
I'm just having to stop myself from just thinking back to my teenage years and just doing that, like, because I feel like that's a risky assumption to fit into.
Are you aware of the concept of? Are you aware of the concept of bleed?
Yeah.
As I said, Die is a bleedy game. People quite regularly play with their own history, and they could approach it. And as long as you're conscious and use the X card, it's fine. Like, honestly, if you ask, because so much about asking questions off the top of your head is the stuff which you're just going to draw from your life.
Yeah. It's just the first stuff that's there, and I can see the answers to both of those questions very quickly. But, like, let me have a think.
Okay, cool.
I think I'm gonna live my fantasy of being the academic A student who was actually a good student who didn't have ADHD and turned up on time and delivered assignments and remembered their textbooks. So I think I'm gonna go for that balance of, you know, cursed gifted kid syndrome. But what if I was good at it?
And how are you different from that stereotype then? As a, you know, Ella, top of the class.
I think that, oh, see, you just said it's very bleedy and I could already see the fracture lines. But I think that maybe this person is quite deeply insecure because they're very good at memorizing and repeating information. They're quite bad at generating new ideas. And they're very conscious that there's a point at which in your studies and in your education, you need to get good at generating ideas. You can only go so far at memorizing and repeating information. And I think that they, like many gifted kids, think that they're going to get caught out as a fraud because everyone's kind of like, oh, they're always getting straight A's. And they're like, I know that there is a time limit on this.
That's interesting. The self-awareness is the interesting thing because, you know, because like I definitely know people who fell down that hole and then like have never quite that. That's really interesting. I like that. Before actually I move on to Max, it's worth noting, the second you get the idea of your character's name and pronouns, feel free to edit your name to include them. Like, cool. Next, you get any idea of anything on the list or not on the list that appeals to you?
Goth. Just goth.
Goth. Goth. The best. Oh, Shadowlands. Great. Have you got? And how are you different from the classic goth?
I mean, this is a rough one because there's like the kind of goth that's like really like dark and no emotions, and there's the really emotional goth because I think I was seen as like really like intimidating, no emotions, closed off goth, but I actually like write poetry and stuff, and I like actually really like to draw, and like I have a soft spot.
That's great. Highly emotional, poetic. Great. Especially like somebody who reads intimidating has actually got sensitive, and inside that's great. You know, that's a very recognisable person. Ava, what about you?
I'm not going to go to type, so I'm gonna go with snob. I want to be the elitist snob.
Oh, I like that.
Like, yeah, I don't know whether I can play that, but I'm gonna try. Like,
what are you elitist about then? So there's a slight follow-on question because there's all sorts of snobs in this world of ours.
I have no idea. What am I elitist about? What would I be elitist about? I think like
that's right. If you want, you can cheer over this a bit. You know, the attitude that you look down on people is good enough if you just want to cheer it a bit.
Yeah,
you may say do it. Oh, I'm a music snob, or I'm actually just rich and I look down at people. You know, something or there's a missing. You know, the missing piece in it, whatever it is, will snit in there. But you know, the idea you look down on people is great.
Yeah, well, I think my idea is that the wrinkle on that is that like I have no justification for it whatsoever. Like I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't have any wealth. I don't have like the connections or whatever that are there. I just try and project that and try and look down on people as a kind of defense against getting found out. I think that's where, which if that works,
fine.
That works.
Be quite cruel. That'd be fair.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Not
too. I mean, yeah. I'm not going to turn into a monster either.
Oh yeah, not necessarily like bully snob, but just like thinks aloof as much as cruel, I guess. Yeah.
My brain is going to Vera from Monster Prom because I am a hopeless sucker, but also because like her whole character archetype is that she is actually very poor, but she puts on like an elitist persona because she wants to succeed in those circles, and so she'll be quite harsh towards people who don't meet those standards because she needs people not to see past her own persona. And that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from that, which is cool.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. That makes sense.
I'm going to get one I've never played is So Quiet They're Almost Invisible, and we were talking about the veils earlier, so I've sort of that's clearly stuck in my head a bit. I think that just the simple difference is I'm quiet except when talking to you, as in like when you get me on a topic, I'm very talkative, and it's definitely like, and I need to feel very safe. I feel need to like before I come out the shell, and in a magic circle I can be useful. But like outside that, that is that. You know me as talkative. No one else really does. I'm always quiet. Okay. When I invited you to join the game, why did you decide to join, Reese?
I mean, actually, from what we've just said, I think it's because they want to get better at coming up with new ideas. I think that, like, they're maybe the kind of person who treats everything as an assignment and a way to, like, try and improve themselves. And so he was like, aha, a collaborative storytelling thing. This is a good way to sharpen these skills that I don't have. I'm going to challenge myself by putting myself in this situation. And it's almost treating it like extracurricular homework in a way that, like, maybe they're on a quite different page to the rest of you, but in their head, they're like, this is a way to improve my grades.
I mean, like, this is circa 2010 almost, so it's like the RPGs are a little bit more in pop culture now. They're starting to inch in a little, so like it's not quite as weird as it used to be, I guess. Max, what about you? When I invited you to join, why did you say yes? What did you think?
Oh my god, I'm just so excited to get to like play my dark fantasy. Like, I just want to like feel all my emotions and like maybe get to like kill some bad people and like blood and stuff, but like good, beautiful blood. This is what I was made for.
That's magnificent. I imagine you come with your character portrait painted or whatever. This is good. I love it. Ava, what about you? Why did you say yes? What did you think?
I have spent so much of my time at school just trying to pretend to be this thing that I would never admit it, but I just want a chance to actually be myself in a space.
Oh wow. That's great. Okay, going around the group again. What did you love about playing this game with the rest of the group? And what did you hate about playing the game with the rest of the group?
Oh, I think I know. For me, I think it's Reese actually loved for once not being the best at something. You know, like the classic gifted kid thing where you're kind of the teacher's pet, but unwillingly. And like, you know, the teacher will be like, oh, Reese, you have to do. So they actually quite loved the fact that they weren't the best at it. They also hated the fact that they weren't the best at it. They felt very insecure and uncomfortable with the idea that they were not the best at this game and that the others were kind of better at embodying their emotions.
That's great.
Can't relate.
Yeah, I don't think your character had that problem.
No, because I am better than everybody else.
It's like, are you sure you're not the snob then?
Well, I mean, what is a goth if not a snob with an aesthetic?
Yeah. No, I agree entirely. Different levels of snobbery is the most teenage thing in the world. This is fantastic. I love this. Sorry.
What I loved is that I was able to like explore I think I was able to explore complicated emotions in a space where I felt safe and didn't have to put on the like goth mask or whatever, or like there's this whole like poser thing, and I didn't have to prove that I wasn't a poser. The thing that I didn't like is that sometimes you guys went too far in the fantasy and not far enough in like the dark goth stuff, and I was like, ugh, like we get it, there's unicorns.
Or dark. And what about Colette?
I think like the thing that I liked was like was not expecting to, but like just like I got a like deep, profound sense of wonder from the worlds that we were exploring and the kind of imagery of it. Like I had kind of not engaged in a lot of kind of like fantasy or fantasizing, and like I wasn't into the tropes and I didn't understand it and I didn't like the films and stuff, but for some reason around a table talking about it, like getting to visualize strange worlds and strange places was just like completely mind-blowing to me. I didn't like that I didn't like that I knew if anyone saw me in this space, then it would just break the image so fully like getting to be myself, getting to explore these things, getting to step into a different world, and then like knowing and feeling all of the time, like if someone looked in, if someone saw through a window, if anyone ever saw what was going on, it would just destroy everything that I'd ever worked for.
Yeah, I mean, it's the RPG closet in this case. That's this queer group. I absolutely get that. I think like me, and I still can't work out. I can't quite see like gender for my character yet. Like, which is normally they're more solidified by now, in some way. I liked being able to speak and people listen. That's the thing, as in, like, I felt heard and I felt seen. And that's like, yeah, I imagine other people in the group, especially at the school, probably performed in some way, but I certainly didn't do that. And this very special place, I could actually communicate quite directly with people. And what I disliked, do you mind if I like stop me on this? I like that. At least one reason why Lettie's a bit twitchy over it is because I'm pretty picked on. I think I'm quite estranged at school. I think I'm the most obviously nerdy out of all of us. And I think like there's that alienation there. So yeah, that's what I think. I think I suffered a little for it, and I see myself as a she/her actually now in a slightly different way. So yeah, that's it.
Do you think like? Because in my head that kind of creates the thing which I've definitely seen happen at schools where like when she was with us in the game we didn't pick on her, and we also but like as soon as we were outside of that room we were not her friends, we would not help her out, we would kind of leave her to it, and we were never kind of there for her outside of the game. And so it was that kind of like double-edged sword thing where we were there for her in the game but not outside of it.
I'll be fine with that. I mean, I think that's fantastic. Does anyone object to that picture of their character? No, great.
No.
You meanies.
Well, that's rough, but, like...
It's definitely Lettie. It's absolutely Lettie.
Yeah, I think Reese like knew that he could be picked on in that way, and he was like, "I'm not gonna get swept up in that wake."
Yeah, it's literally there for the grace of God when they look at her. Wow, I kind of hate you guys.
I hate us too.
Yeah, we're not good people. You gave us the premise of deeply flawed human beings, Kieran. We are giving you deeply flawed human beings.
You're playing the bit, and I like it. Okay, next question is, what were your interests? Sports, TV shows, books, games, comics? Name your faves. Why did you like them? And that's a deliberately broad question. Don't pick one of... I'm going to say, I think Onks, I just think not Onks' real name. But I think Onks... I may have easier answers here from them. But do you want to jump in first, that? What do you like?
I like My Chemical Romance. I like The Color Black. I like blood, dark things. I love, dark poetry. Bats. Big fan of bats and vampires. Just emo music. I think I have like, as a teenager, my character definitely was allergic to color.
That's great. I'm going to definitely ask you a question because it's like we sort of know why Onks likes it because we've talked about it. What's Onks' guilty secret? I mean, what's the thing which utterly like what's the ABBA album, metaphorically speaking, in your closet?
No, it literally is. Like there's something that will ruin me, and it's I have to think back. When are we? Like just
2010-ish.
2010. This is perfect. Oh my god. I'm a closet Taylor Swift fan.
Fuck yeah.
It's like I have like all my playlists on my little like laptop or whatever, and there's one that's just called like school stuff, and then like 20 folders deep it's just like all her music.
There's emotions there, Taylor really feels. In many ways she's the true goth. Ava, what about Colette? What's Colette into?
Really into, or just the appearance out in school?
I think so. Like generally, what makes it like what makes her life worth living? That's it's the big teenage passions I'm looking for. The thing that kind of I see myself in this, and I'm also interested in the performance. So like say one of the one of the other. Kind of like it. The performance and the actuality are both of interest to me.
Yeah, so I think the performance is clothes and fashion and
cool.
that side of stuff. Like the hidden underneath is it's got to be music, but like yeah, like making like computer electronic noise stuff, like weird art techno. Why? I don't know, but that's the secret behind everything.
Yeah, it's pure expression, weird art techno in that way, isn't it?
Yeah,
like there's something like sorry, Colette is. I feel so sorry for her, and so she has to keep everything in a cage.
Mm.
I have to ask a question, Minaz, and how? Okay, we'll come back to a second. Oh, sorry, Reese. What about Reese?
I think that they have, again, trying to like steer around bleed. I think that this is true enough of enough people and of tropes in media that I don't feel it's too close to me. I think that they probably have like quite a manicured personality and interests. So, you know, if they were asked by a teacher or like a university interviewer what their interests are, they're probably going to say like Shakespeare and Schubert and like Jane Austen and Dickens and like whatever. I think in reality, like, he loves comic books and video games, and has a little bit of a complex about feeling like they're not, inverted commas, real media that they're allowed to be invested in. So maybe like has like a really, really deep investment in like Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, but they would not be caught dead admitting that. That is just me, but also it's because I can talk about it. And I think that, yeah, like that kind of extends to all parts of their life. So like they like wear tweed jackets, but they're like secondhand tweed jackets and they're kind of putting on a persona. They have a worrying investment in Dead Poets Society, and we should maybe question how invested they are and how much they relate to that and whether or not that's healthy. But yeah, like underneath it, they also quite like Call of Duty, but don't want to tell people that.
That's not the game I really thought you were going to go out with, so I love that for your character.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. The thing about me, like what comes up in the game, like, there's a lot of goth stuff, I reckon, and it's because obviously like, it's called the Shadowlands, and I reckon what's the to work out why, you know, what I've come up with the name Moira, and I'm not sure why Moira's on my mind, but I'm gonna change to Moira. Let's go with that.
I love that name.
Excellent. What does I guess that Moira is like a games historian. Like more, actually, no, I get more. Oh my god, this is bleeding. Moira believes in games. Moira believes in the history of games. Like Moira, she's running a game which absolutely understands. Like she's hacking Cyberpunk together with Vampire, and not doing it in a kind of like, you know, she gets what she's doing, and she's got a very intense understanding of this. And frankly, probably a bit more than anyone else. Not just because it's kind of what is her thing. This is her kind of weird obsession. Like Cyberpunk. Yeah, great. Okay, this is what we call the big question, which is if people actually have the sheet, there's 6 questions here, and I'm gonna like pick one of them and ask it to you. If you don't like the question, I said there's 6 of them, so we can skip another one. Colette. Sorry, Ava. Colette had question E. Your teenage years are something specifically shitty to deal with. What was it? One or both of your parents died. You fell into the wrong crowd and got a political criminal record. You were seriously ill. Or Colette had to stay in the closet for some reason, or something else.
There was no one at home.
Right.
I was actually on my own, like not as long as that's not on the lines of parental stuff, but just like complete absence. They, you know, they lost, they went. I don't ever talk about the story. But yeah, and you know, I could survive it, I could do it, but that's why I had so little, and I had to work to kind of get through that.
Do you want to make that an orphan rather than actually absent parents? Because I think that makes it easier to avoid the line. Like,
sure. Yeah, that sounds great.
I tried the phrase double orphan, which is just not the real phrase for it, but like notes don't. Okay, I've just said it aloud. Notes don't have to be told to the rest of the world, but now they are. That's really sad. I'm sorry, big lad. Okay, question. Actually, I'm going to do the classic one just to see how it works. Onyx, you're a significant gift at school, something with real potential, and everyone was aware of it. What was it? You were a usually gifted writer. You won prizes. You were an incredible actor. You starred in all the school plays. You were a sports star. You were by far the best sports person in your school. Or something else.
I think I was really good at art.
Ooh,
I think
nice.
I wanted to be a good writer, and I was terrible. And I was really good at art, but I did not want to be good at art. I wanted to be good at writing.
That's cool. Everyone saw it. How good you were. That's fantastic. And finally, I'll just check what it is. Okay, Ella, for Rice, you had a goal in life. What was it? This question D, by the way. I just wanted kids and a family. I want to be a successful, rich entrepreneur. I want to turn my passion into a life. I wanted to get the hell out of this town and never come back. Or something else.
I think that Reese wanted to escape. I think that they wanted to be somewhere where no one knew who they were, and there was absolutely no pressure, and there was no expectation, and they could just be a human being without being expected to fit into several, matryoshka dolls of what people wanted them to be. And I think that secretly and fervently and very desperately, they wanted to get away. I think that they probably even had a packed bag underneath their bed, and every night we'd kind of get to the end of it and we'd be like, great, tonight 3 a.m. I'm going, I'm never coming back, I'm not talking to any of these people again, I'm never seeing them again, I'm gonna go somewhere and be someone else. That's
fantastic. I really like that. You want to be free and away from everyone. That's really good. That makes a lot of sense to me. I'm actually going to pick the same question again, which I've realised I've never done this before when playtesting. Actually, I want to pick my teenage years as something specifically shitty to deal with. What was it? I don't know about anybody else, but I am especially in the closet, and I am especially religious. And we're going to come back to we mentioned it earlier. So it's not like I'm probably afraid of my parents, but I'm not would say. But there's much more of a wider societal sort of pressure for her. That's actually a good way to segue to the obvious question. Like we've said, we're all queer. Are we out? Are we if we want to talk about later, because we're going to skip to adults in a minute, so we can sort of talk about where it ends up. But if people have got any idea of how their queerness expresses at this point, I can definitely answer. Ella.
Yeah, I think that Reese presented female as long as you all knew him when we were kids, but in a way where he didn't even realize that he wasn't performing femininity. So he would never wear dresses, he would never wear skirts, he would never put on makeup. It was just a thing that was just not comfortable for him. And so he just didn't do it because he was just kind of in this specific kind of headspace where it never occurred to him that he wasn't supposed to be, almost. And then as an adult, kind of found his way into the place he wanted to be quite quickly, and then kind of stayed there and is now kind of very firm about being there. But I think that even as kids, probably there's a thing that Reese's hair is always really short, and he always wears suits and stuff, even to if there's a formal thing, he'll wear a shirt and trousers, he won't put on a dress, he won't wear makeup.
Yeah. So it's I've prefaced it as gender non-conforming, and transitioning early. Would that be a fair way to describe him?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
And also like I think definitely romantic and demisexual, but also very much queer, in that like 99.9% of the time I don't think anyone even had an idea of whether or not they had a crush. But they would like once every 5 years develop a very deep emotional investment in someone, and then probably would rather die than let that person know.
that's
And
the
it's
spirit.
not until they're an adult that they like, yeah, you know, like I think that's probably the place they're in. They feel very deeply, very privately.
Healthy and good.
Yeah. So good for them.
Yeah, that sounds a great way to be. Max, about Unks.
I am the world's most oblivious and obvious lesbian.
Hey.
Everybody knows except me, but everybody assumes I know because I'm goth. And I look very gay, so they're like, oh yeah, she knows. I don't.
Yeah.
And then the gender thing comes later in life where I'm like, wait, my gender can also be lesbian? Yeah.
Fantastic. What about Colette Ava?
I think I am cis girl, got a beard guy, the rugby team somewhere.
Yeah.
Possibly like rotates between different people on a kind of like 6 to 12 month basis, but always ends up ending badly because there's definitely something that's not working there. But just has to keep up appearances. Not oblivious, but the strong denial.
That's great and depressing. I'm just going to actually.
Sorry.
You know, honestly, like there's nothing.
There's not so much.
No, like there's no everything. Like what's not depressing about any of this, and that's the fun of it, I guess. I'm just going to go straight for bisexual, actually. And I may add more stuff to that later. Oh, okay. First question for the group: where did we actually play the game? But any got preferences? Like, it's got to be somewhere secret.
I'm so sorry, baby.
Oh no, that's okay.
I'm quite invested in the school library. Because I've had a lot of great friendships with school librarians over the years. Bless them and their service.
I'm cool with school library, like a study room at the school library.
I like the study room.
I reckon it's like I would like to go beyond that, just from the secrecy point of view. Like I reckon it's like the little office, the librarian's little office. Like the librarian kind of got a lot more of us than any of us did necessarily, and was just you need a place that's away from other people. So yeah.
The librarian's automatically the hero of this story now.
Yeah.
Like, anyone could chip in about. We can save librarian questions for later. Okay, a lot of these we probably know. Who is the smartest of us, actually? What do you reckon? We've sort of defined that. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I feel like probably if you asked any of our classmates, they would say Reese, but I have a feeling it might be Moira.
That's interesting. Anyone else disagree with that?
Everyone knows it's Moira. All of us know it's Moira, but except for Moira, who assumes it's someone else. But none of us. I wouldn't admit it. I would never let you know that.
In my head, I'm imagining this is the opposite of the classic trope of taking your glasses and shaking off your hair. As she puts on her glasses and turns to a book and, oh my god, Moira, you're clever.
Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah.
Who was the most classically attractive of us? I mean, this is kind of one of those kind of things. Less important in this game, I think, but like,
yeah, that's because that's really. Are we talking like according to the rules of heteronormativity?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, this is how we're seen at school, I think, is the question. I mean, also, the question is deliberately open, so we get to define what they mean.
I think, as seen at school through the heteronormative lens, it's blatantly me.
It's definitely. It's gotta be Lily.
Yeah.
But I wonder like whether there's like, and I will check in here and admit that I am just gay, terminally. But like, I'm kind of wondering if it's interesting that Colette is absolutely the most like beautiful in all of the kind of traditional ways of femininity. But maybe all of us are kind of interested in the fact that Onyx is presenting so queer, like, and in a way that's like quite a queer femininity, and that all of us are a little bit like intrigued by that, whether or not we know it. Like, and Onyx obviously doesn't know that they're doing it, but like we're all kind of, you know, it's like, oh, I wish I could dress like that, but I never would, kind of thing.
Yeah.
This is actually one of the next questions. Has anyone got any crushes on the rest of the group? Which, of course, this we have to be careful about lines around that. But we've sort of almost established that Colette is the person who's been dating around the rugby team, and therefore is performing a socially acceptance in a way. I can definitely like imagine people having crushes on Onyx. If that Onyx is okay with that, or Max is okay, and Onyx is player.
You're okay with people having crushes on you?
Oh, am I okay with people having crushes on me? Please.
I actually think, I mean, checking in, obviously, if it's not okay, I will rescind it. I actually think it would be kind of interesting for me if Reese had a bit of a crush on Moira. Like, I think that they, like... So my character thing is that I think that they are both infuriated by the fact that Moira is smarter than them, and like hopelessly like enchanted by the fact that Moira is smarter than them, and like really like just have a little bit of that double-edged sword at this point as a kid. And it's kind of that thing where like as a teenager they don't know whether it's like attraction or whether it's just like fixation. But I think that they think for a while privately that they have a crush on the Moira, if that's okay. If you would prefer me,
I know I'm okay with that. Especially like I imagine I'm oblivious to it. I think that's the most interesting thing. Especially like, and it just makes it kind of precious, as in like the fact that I'm only ever talking to that. And you've always said that you don't really crush on people, like you crush rarely and hard. And I do like the fact that you're getting a very honest look at Moira. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Moira is explicit. You are getting this weird sort of download like every week when we play. So yeah, I'm definitely up for that. So kids, sort it out. We would ask, who do people most pick on? Well, it's me. Like, also it's sorry, I was about to say it's Moira. This is as I this is one of the things about Di. You have to be quite formulaic about what you're talking about in terms of like it's like, hey Ella, how does Reese feel about?
Yeah.
You know, it's really easy to trip up, and yet again we're talking about bleed. Okay, well, last questions for the craft is for each person. Who's your? You probably know the answer to this. Ooh. Actually, there's one more question I've skipped. Actually, who was the group scared of at school and why?
Colette, surely Colette.
Yeah.
She's the popular kid. She's the pretty popular kid who is performing at least a very convincing facade that I assume we haven't seen through. And if we haven't seen through it, then she seems like the popular rich kid who's dating the guys on the rugby team. Like, yeah. I feel like, I mean, Reese would definitely be quite scared of her and the social power she wields.
That's cool.
And I need you to keep the secret of me being here at all, so I kind of need you to be scared of it. But it also means I'm kind of the most scared of you, like you, because you have this access to a side of me that nobody else has ever seen.
Yeah. I have a question.
Yeah,
I love that. I've got a question for that. How did Colette, has Colette ever like explicitly threatened the group? Not in it like is there anything? What's the worst sort of manipulative threat thing that Colette did with us? Or is it much more implied?
I think it's implied. I think that there's just like a clear like I don't know. I feel like there has to be some amount of like the barrier comes down, but I think that like every time as we come in and as we go out of this situation, like there's just a look. There's a look that each of you gets every single time that is just like, and it's so implied that it's literally just like daggers of like, you don't know me. Once you're out of here, you don't know me. This is a different world. This is a different place.
Yeah. I literally have the image of Moira going, like just one time we were caught and Moira just lies quite effectively for you, saying, like, I was just doing Colette's homework. I was just passing her. Yeah, that kind of like, I know the score.
Oh, man.
I I also just like in the kind of the crushy scenario. So obviously, I didn't really want to have anything like in that direction. But I think like Colette is like fascinated by Moira, like not a crush, not a romantic thing, or like not able to sing, but just like fully like secretly wishing that I could be like that. Like so not a crush, but a kind of envy, a really really deep envy that like has to be like pressed under.
Yeah. I'm really interested in the contrast between the freedom to be brave, like entering the freedom, also like the bravery, and there's really complicated thing. As in, I can't be like that because if I was that, there's so much stuff tied in here. That's all awful and petrifying. Okay, that's great. Time now passes. We are now adults. Right, we asked the second half of the question, so I need to make sure I remember the first half of the question. Right, we'll start with Colette. If you remember, your teenage years had to deal with, your parents both dying. That thing that the question is, the thing that made your life bad then, its effects still haunt you today. How does it impact your life? Like even now in your late 20s?
I feel so trapped by where I have ended up. Like everyone else left school and got to like. So my image of it is that like I had some older figure, an older sibling or something like that, who was kind of covering for me. But like by I was alone at home, I mean like literally like I was hiding in a house that people like, and we were keeping a secret from everyone that was going on. So like it comes to the end of school and I can't go to uni like everyone else was. I can't do the things that everyone else was doing as their next step. So I'm just like, I'm still in the same town. Like I've lost so much of what I had at school, all of that power and strength and such. And and so Colette is like actually working as a librarian in like a little branch library on the edge of outskirts of town, and just desperately wants to get out and see a different world, but is still trapped there because there wasn't actually any paperwork. There wasn't any way to claim grants and loans or anything. So just trying to get by in a
financially crushed
place where everyone else left.
Yeah. I'm just like, well, I know I'm going to ask other people like similar like in a minute, but we didn't actually do anything with the international school, did we? We sort of just touched it, and actually, Onks was talking about being younger. Like, is that something that Max was talking about Onks being younger? Is that something you've abandoned, or is that something you still have?
Yes, I've completely changed directions. I took the goth thing and I ran with it.
You did? Oh, that's great. That's like, it's like we can always rebut, because I would say that we can absolutely say it's just much more of a normal school if we'd rather, but since we didn't use the international school aspect. But like we could still bring it in.
I was kind of thinking that was kind of the weird thing about me ending up in this town, was like it wasn't home for anyone else, so everyone left. Like I stayed home and the whole school dispersed around me, and I suddenly had nothing for like the second time in my life. And that's great.
That more than justifies it, I think.
Yeah, I also would like add on to that like in my experience of international schools, they are often, and again, love and respect to anyone viewing, if this is viewed, who goes to an international school, like, but they are incredibly dangerously competitive, like academically. And I think that kind of reinforces some of the stuff we were saying. I think it would kind of heighten it. I mean, definitely for Reese, but I also think possibly for Moira. My experience of international schools has been that like everything that you have in a normal school is kind of heightened. And then that pathos of Colette being one of the few people who's actually from the town and then just doesn't get to go. Great,
I love it. Let's go on to Ella's question then. That thing you wanted to escape and get out of the air and whatever, escape from off the grid and just live that. You achieved that. It didn't make you happy. Why?
Oh. I think that they are deeply, deeply lonely. I think that Reese thought that if they weren't isolated by this like sense of achievement and separation from their peers of like having higher grades than everyone and being expected to like do the like mock paper or whatever, then they would be able to connect to people. And what they've learned is that actually they just find connecting to people hard, and leaving made that even harder because they didn't have any common ground. And not only that, but also having abandoned everything, they didn't even have their books or their Schubert or whatever to hide themselves in as this little kind of blanket fort of like academia and the canon, which was a kind of a claustrophobic facade, but also ultimately like kind of a comfortable little box. And then suddenly they don't have that either. And I think now they're working like a 0 hours contract as like a bartender, working shitty hours, and they aren't really friends with any of their colleagues. And he just goes home and is by himself and wakes up in the morning and is by himself. And yeah, like, and no one thinks he's special anymore. And it didn't fix it.
Even a particularly good bartender. Fantastic. Right, Onks. Right, Max, your significant potential, that amazing artist you once were, it never actualized into a fraction of its potential.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I didn't fucking practice.
Onks.
Because I didn't want it. Everybody, I just had like, I think I had like a really solid grasp on anatomy as like a teenager. I was just like, yeah, like this just comes naturally to me. I don't want it though. I want to make music. I want to write. And then it just kind of like the art thing just kind of like atrophied, and eventually everybody's just like, so are you an artist now? And I'm like, no.
That's great. I'm gonna keep mine simple actually. It's the same crash as Colette, as in my problem is still the problem now, and it's I never came out. I never came out for religious reasons, and I'm still having my Michelangelo-esque relationship with God. In fact, the next question is quite simple, as in basically. We've had some of this already, so you don't need to say much of it. Tell me about your life now. As in what you do. Are you dated or single? Are you divorced? Some of you might even have kids if you wanted to. Like, for the people who haven't done it, like, we had quite a bit of Colette and a little bit of Reese. But, like, we'll start with Max and Oinks and see if there's anything else to add. What do you do now for money? Are you dating anyone? Or are you, like, but something else?
Well, first of all, I'm normal now, so... And I don't talk about high school. I think I just have an office job, and I'm just very normal, and I'm dated around. Maybe I have a girlfriend. She's probably also very normal, and I feel like I have to overcompensate for having been so goth, and so now I'm going too far in the other direction. And I like her a lot. I'm very bored.
Yeah.
I'm just dying for somebody to like, whisk me away on some motorcycle ride to, down the beach or whatever.
Yeah.
Not on the sand.
What's the job? As a matter of interest.
What are jobs?
Yeah. I mean, what do you do for money?
I think I'm some kind of like useless manager. Like my job is I think I got promoted, and now I don't really have like much of a job anymore. I just manage people, and I miss doing things. I was like, oh yeah, I get paid more now, and I miss.
Is it like one of those things where you're kind of a millennial who's given a social media manager job because you have Twitter as an app, and then you're promoted to be like head of communications or something? But
you're a
like...
genius. I think I was having so much fun being a social media manager, which, I mean, that's a little bit unrealistic, but let's go with that. And I did get promoted, and I don't get to go on social media anymore. And it's like, well, I'm not goth. I don't have social media. Like, I might as well just,
That's great. Let's say, Abe, you got anything else you want to add to Colette's life?
Just like not still like so yeah, like shitty branch library that is like a cupboard in a corner of a thing. Nobody ever comes in, and it just needs to have a person present and stacking shelves occasionally and being there. So pretty tedious work stuff there. Has a little flat, lives on her own, has come like is not exactly out because doesn't really like know enough people to be out, but occasionally finds like some excuse to travel to a gay bar and have like a fling, but doesn't really know how to turn that into anything proper or longer term. That's not proper. I'm not saying that that's not proper. But yeah,
and how to turn it into a life in that sort of it's,
yeah.
That's great. I said I'm what am I doing? Let's go for it. I'm married to a man. It was a lovely wedding. You've all seen the photos. Not a lot of smiling there. Is that okay? Anyone exit?
Yeah. No.
It's okay.
Just checking. It's like this. I'm leading into. I'm playing this archetype then, I guess. Okay. I say we've also sort of defined
I have a thing to add about Reese. I just wanted. There were two things I wanted to add. The first one is that he has a pet goldfish called Simon, which he loves very much. He wishes that Simon was more of an active pet and gave back more, but he does love Simon. In that way that you kind of love your cellmate if you're in prison for the rest of your life, like kind of thing on a desert planet. And also, they are very much out. They did go to Pride, and their fridge has one magnet on it, and underneath that one magnet is like the paper wristband that like got them into Pride, and like that's it. It's the decoration in their apartment. But like that is they have a goldfish. They went to Pride. Those are the only two things I wanted to add.
Oh my god,
that's great. Okay, this has definitely ran long, so I'll do the last. I'll sort of cut the questions a little. Running long ain't a problem. This is for me. This is the fun. This is one of the most fun parts of the game. Is just making up some awful people, and not awful. So awful people's the wrong word. Some people who are in real dire straits. Okay, when the invitation to the reunion arrived, what made each of you not want to come? Going round from Reese.
He didn't want to go back. Maybe his dream wasn't everything he wanted it to be, but that doesn't mean that he's also quite bloody minded about it. Like, fuck, if I sacrificed all this and lost everything just to be here, I'm not going to go backwards. I think he really didn't want to go backwards.
Yeah. And before we go on, I should say, and also why you chose to come anyway. So, like,
because I think that they still have this deep affection for Moira. I don't know if they're like still in love with her, but I think that they've got, like, if Moira asked, they would come. I think like if Moira had invited them to her wedding, they would have hated it, but they would have been there. And I think that they're worried about Colette because Colette disappeared off the face of the earth. And I think that they're intrigued to see what happened with Onyx because they remember quite fondly now in retrospect how queer Onyx was, whether or not like they knew it. And they're kind of like, yes, I know there will be at least one fellow mind there, which will make this less painful because I remember that.
Excellent. Max, what about Onyx?
I didn't want to come back because I realized that I am essentially wasted potential in human form.
Oh.
it's just like, oh, I could have done all of these things, and now I'm if a pencil skirt was a person.
Beautiful sentence there. Applause for Max.
I'm just really not looking forward to seeing all these people who knew me at my peak. When I was, because I think when I was a teenager, I was a very rare case of like, yeah, like life sucks or whatever, but I was still kind of like happy. And while I wasn't out, I feel like I was somehow more true to myself than I am now that I'm out, because I'm just like a normie now.
Yeah, I like that. Ava, what about you? I mean, travel fee, the travel is at least cheap, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for Colette, the thing that's not like having, like, remembering that power and strength and that appearance that was there, and knowing that these are the people who like knew that there was something different underneath, knew that there was something else underneath, and then like having to go back and like say it, be like it was all nothing, like it wasn't, I didn't manage it. I didn't manage to be, I couldn't carry it on, that lie that I'd lived for so long. I've just now, and there's just not the appearance of it, but I still cannot escape the just that wonder, like just remember those worlds that I used to escape to, and those are the places that I wish I could go to the most, and I never found a way to do that with anybody else. Yeah,
that's great. So finally, unfortunately the reunion was cancelled due to the lockdown and just generally situations like that. But Moira suggested we all get together on Skype. Get together on Zoom or something and play a game that she's discovered, just for old time's sake. What did each of you feel when Moira suggested this?
Like relief was the first thing that came into my head, and I think I'm going to stick with it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Right. Max, about onks?
It actually depends how far into the pandemic we are.
Oh, sorry. I just meant it broadly. The fact we're playing online, we're clearly not playing in the same room. So I just wanted to give a reason why we're playing online rather than.
Okay. Because I wanted to like. Okay. Well.
I say it was just cancelled for a non-pandemic reason, because frankly,
Did I just make that up? Did I just hear that with my like?
No.
No, I think I said it.
Okay.
I think I said it. Yeah.
Then I think I'm a little bit like disappointed, because I was a little bit excited to meet people I knew were going to be interesting, and also meet people outside of a context of, networking, going out for drinks. So I am disappointed.
Yeah, disappointed it was not in real life. That makes sense. And what about Colette?
Like as soon as the plan changed, I started wondering whether it would be possible to like curate a background that would give me the life that I want you to think that I have.
That's great. I always just really like Colette is. We may not even know Colette's out. I mean, do we know that Colette's out? What do you reckon?
No. You like Ella said, I've dropped off the face of the earth.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like I've just disappeared. Nobody. It's amazing that you managed to find a way to get in contact.
Yeah. I presume someone just failed a BCC after they somehow found an email, and then that somehow they just mailed everyone. That's how I got your emails in the first place.
Yeah.
And we just go fucking school. Actually, in my head, come on, how I define it. It was the librarian who arranged the whole thing. We haven't defined anything about the librarian yet, but I'm saying, yeah, they deliberately blind CC'd everybody.
Oh, I love that.
Nice.
I am also just like, footnote, quite invested in the like adult older member of the queer community who identifies a bunch of queer kids and is like, I am going to personally look after these children because I don't know whether or not they've got anyone else doing it. Like, I am emotionally quite invested in that character archetype, and I want more of them in media. So if we can have one in our game, that's great.
Excellent. And that's it. What we're going to do now is we're going to step away from the table. I would say take a break till 5 minutes to 10. When we come back, we are going to turn off our cameras, then turn the cameras on again. And it's basically wherever you come back, you're coming back as your persona. Now, it's going to be a bit tricky, of course, because Ella and Max are in the same room. We'll pretend they're on separate cameras. But actually, it's not tricky. That's entirely easy. So we're basically just all log onto the chat room and start talking in character. The next step of the game, we're going to quickly, because that next step's much shorter, design our in-world character. So in other words, we're going to play the people we've just made up who have got together to play a role-playing game. So we're playing people playing a role-playing game because we're that kind of meta bullshit. Which is good. So is anything carrot? I still need to work out your character. So I might actually keep an eye on the private chat before you log in because I'm still going to work out who's who and whatever. But I'll see everyone actually at 3 minutes to now. Right. See you in a bit.
Oh, all right. See you in a bit.
Hey. Hey, thanks. Hey everyone. Thanks for coming. I'm sorry it's late. There was just family stuff going on this evening. We have to be a bit quiet. I mean, I'm kind of good at that, so that's okay too. How is everyone?
Yeah, great. You family. I saw you got married. There were some pictures on Facebook.
Yeah. It's 2 years ago today. It's a different world. Let's just say it like that. It's everything I ever wanted, I think. Oh, there's so much difficult things here. Colette, you're not even on Facebook, are you?
No, I don't really do that.
Okay. What's that behind you? That looks very expensive.
Yeah. No, that's a Harrison.
That's impressive. Yeah. I'm always impressed that you're actually hanging out with us. That's really nice.
Yeah, no, it's hard when everything's so busy to make time, but it's old time's sake and that. It's yeah.
Oinks, am I wrong? This might just be something wrong with the camera, and I'm so sorry to ask. I wouldn't want to pry like this, but is your hair not dyed black?
Oh yeah, I actually stopped.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I stopped doing that years ago. It's teenager shit.
Yeah.
I'm reformed, I guess.
Kind of disappointing.
Well, I mean, we all have to grow up someday.
Well, not tonight. Tonight, I think I've got something for you. This is a bit weird. It's not the old game. This is something there was a sermon about just talking about this, and it got me looking into this thing that happened. Do you remember in the 90s? Oh, this is before our time, but I found this in my research, and I was always so fascinated by it. But there were these kids from Stafford, and they were sort of playing this RPG, and they just disappeared, and they were gone for 2 years. No one had any idea where they went, and then they turned up, and none of them ever talked about what happened. Does anyone remember that? I mean, it does sound a bit urban mythy, but
no, yeah, I remember it was an urban myth.
I mean, you guys remember how I was about that sort of shit,
Oh yeah.
I had notebooks dedicated to that. So.
Oh, you are going to love this. I feel quite sinful about this. Let's be entirely honest here. I think I managed to download a copy of the game off eBay. As in, I downloaded some stuff and got some pieces, and I've actually got a copy of the game they were playing.
You're shitting me.
This must be the wickedest thing I've ever done in my entire life. She pauses, and this must be the wickedest thing I've done in my life. Is everyone up for it?
I mean, if it's leading you into sin, then I say that we should press on ahead.
That is not home run. You're too kind, Grace. Okay. Right. There's a lot of this. It's quite ritually. So, like, I'm sorry if it's going to be a bit weird. Okay, let's try this. Grace, I've told you to get some dice. Can you pick up your D12, please?
Sure.
Cool. This is your die. There's no other dice like this in the whole game. This is special. This is yours. Use it well, Godbinder. And I've got to pass it through the camera. Reach up, pass up yours. And there you go. And now apparently the energy is transferred to that dice. So that is the only dice in the game now. It doesn't seem credible to me, but I decided to play it rules as written because I'm quite a stickler at times like this. Okay, this is exciting. I'm getting excited now. I've missed this so much. Colette.
Yeah.
Similar for you. This is the only D8 in the world. There's no other dice like this in the whole game. This is special. This is yours. Use it well, Emotion Knight. Now I pass you the dice. It's exciting. Okay, Monks. This is the only D10 in the game. There's no other dice like it in the whole game. This is special. This is yours. Use it well, Neo. And this D20 is mine. Okay, I sent you the. If you click, I sent you some online sheets, but if you want to do it on the paper in front of you, you can do that as well. These are basically there's a character keeper, and you can see there's tabs in each of your character sheets. So there's one called Neo, Knight, Godbinder, and I'm the Master apparently. We're gonna go through this and fill it together. There's a lot of rules, and you sort of read them in. You can read them in bits and pieces, and I'll sort of explain what's going on. I'm going to show my player name at the top. Which is my real world name. I don't know what that means. But obviously, this is the real world. For persona name, I'm going to fill in Moira, because I think I'm called Moira. I am she, her. Right. Is everyone okay with just navigating the sheets? Can they see what it's like?
Yeah, I can see.
Cool. Okay, what we do now is first we're going to do statistics. And these are just like the statistics out of that D&D game. They have strength, dexterity, constitution, wisdom, and intelligence. Have I missed one? I don't remember. We've got 2 points to... every stat starts as 2. And you can increase... And you've got 2 points to spend. And no stat can go higher than 4. So you fill them in. I'm, for example... And the ones that are coloured in yellow are your main stats. So I'm going to fill in... I'm just going to put 2 in all the rest, and then put 3 in intelligence and 3 in constitution. I mean, 2 is normal, and 4 is superhuman, and 3 might be Olympic athlete. So these are pretty generous stats. I think someone's being over generous here. Right. If you kind of see that, it fills in a bunch of other stuff like your guard and health. But we can worry about that later. If you scroll down, there's a section called equipment. Can you see that? Excellent. You have multiple options here, and basically it says how many you've got to pick. Mine says whatever you're wearing is defense 0, so it's a bit above saying defense, so I fill that in. And I've got choice buying a quarterstaff, an elegant handgun, or a huge tome. And I reckon I'm going to take the huge tome because I could never quite resist an enormous RPG manual. That really was my thing. If you get any questions, feel free to ask. But and also, you can change it later. We're all friends here, aren't we? I mean, we've still got that, yeah.
Sure.
My equipment isn't even objects. It's just things.
Your defense is 1. You start with an arcane web. I think that's all to do with how fancy you are. I think, Colette. But you got defense 1 we can fill in, and the rest is just choose what you kind of think. Yeah. How are you not being hit? And the next section is your look, which is kind of how we physically appear in the game. And my options are wizard robes, straight out of a 1980s kid cartoon, killer suits out of a 1980s corporate bad guy, or fetish wear, straight out of a 1990s vampire LARP. Oh dear. Or I can make something up for myself. What would I like? That's a really good question. What would I like? Ox, what do you think I should have?
I mean, as long as we're here, you know, we should probably go like a bit outside of your comfort zone, right? Like something fun.
Okay. Someone's going to have dyed black hair, and it's going to be me, I think. I've never even actually dyed my hair. This is quite exciting. Excellent. Has everyone done their picks?
Yep.
Great. Now, this is the bit. If you're on the papers, this is like multiple side. This is where you go into the second sheet, which is your special powers. Now, the thing about this game is a bit different. Like those that we've just done isn't basic, but you know it's standard and we all do it. Then everyone has very different abilities now, so they kind of have choice in your own sheet. So I might have to help you individually. Mine just says I have to pick 3 rules, and these are some things. So I'm just going to pick ranged, area, and fire. But that doesn't matter for any of you. And I'll be a narrative master. Now, all of you have different options. Like Ella, you have to pick which one of those gods you like, and you have to name them, if you can see that. Onks, you have to pick which one of the gifts you would like. And Colette, you have slightly more choices. You've got to pick a variety of things with your arcane weapon. So you pick which emotion, and then you go down and say what it is.
Okay.
You pick one from each of those tick boxes. I must pick the trident. Is like, who can resist the trident?
I can't.
It's so funny,
Love
Clyde.
it.
It's like you always like the odd one out, you know. I thought in the game, but like I would have picked the trident as well.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I could see her as Athena or Aphrodite starting a war just to look pretty.
and she'd do it very well, I'm sure.
Thanks. It's been a while, but yes.
Excellent.
Moira,
Mhm.
I was working really late yesterday. I'm having a bit of trouble with this. How many gods am I supposed to pick right now?
Just one.
Okay, great.
You just pick one at the moment. Well, that's really telling. I haven't actually written. Whoever the designer has not written this on the sheet. Actually, no, they have. They put it in completely the wrong place on the top left. Because I believe the character sheets are significantly better designed than these online ones. It's almost as if I don't know Google Sheets very well.
I mean, you did say that you got them from eBay. I think that can be figured out.
Right. Like, are you sure these are like the game?
I honestly don't. I kind of hope it's tricky because it's what's worse. If it's like just somebody doing it as a joke, that's pretty unethical. But if someone's actually got their game, that's also pretty unethical. So like, it all seems a bit murky to me. But I guess it's like I don't know. Well, maybe we'll find out.
I hope it's real.
You haven't changed in some ways, Unks.
I mean, you know.
It's fine. How's people's picks going?
I feel like I'm looking good.
As I say, you've got a couple more picks beneath class details, by the way, Colette.
Oh, yeah.
You have to pick one emotionally engaged thing as a stance and one venting power.
Okay.
You all right, Moira?
Just tired. It's just really busy at the moment.
What do you do these days?
Not a lot really. Like there's just a lot of like family. Like I do a lot of work with the church, and there's a lot of community work, and I just generally I don't do a lot, really.
Figured you'd be a novelist by now.
No, I couldn't do that. The idea of all those people seeing my words, it's like, honestly, you three were all I ever really needed. You know, I don't need the world to see it.
Could always use a pen, though.
They'll find out. The idea of someone finding me out is awful. Right, has everyone? I believe everyone's finished now. They are. Okay, what we're going to do. What we've got to do is there's a bit of text in the top right, which is sort of instruction to your class, and we're going to read that aloud to everyone, and then give a brief description of who we are and what we've picked. Like, don't go into details, just top level. I'm going to go first. That's not my sheet. This is my sheet. Who rules? The master is a magic user as reality manipulator. Sometimes you change the laws of physics. Sometimes you change the laws of the game. Sometimes you change the laws of fiction. The rules rule, and you rule the rules. And you never, ever cheat. Ever. Stop looking at me like that. I mean, you all do know I never cheat, though. That's the, I was always, scrupulously fair. At least towards you. Anyway, I'm playing a master, and I've got like abilities to put bits of spells together to make spells, what it looks like, and I can also cheat and change reality, which frankly sounds like cheating, but it also sounds kind of cool. Cool. Reese, who are you playing? Or Reese, please read you a little bit of text and tell me who you're playing.
Your wish. All right. You don't believe in gods. I mean, they exist, obviously.
Obviously.
You're the fire god for that time he burned that fortress, and you've got that favor from the god of the wild when you saved her rainforest, but believe, that's a strong word. Really, no, you don't really believe in gods. You believe in tools. Useful tools. Okay, I can see why you gave me this one, Moira. The Godbinder is the D&D cleric as demonologist. Looks like I can ask gods for favors and get in debt to them or get credit with them if I do things that sort of serve their purpose. And the one I've picked to start with is fate. I've called it chance.
That's true. Of course, it's like, now I'm feeling really I shouldn't have been playing this game. I'm not. I bet I'm drawn between telling my husband and not telling my husband, and hopefully I'll decide this before the evening's out. Onks, what have you picked? What's your character like as well?
Adventurers' lust for gold makes them all thieves, which makes the prejudice against rogues a little odd. They all do it, but everyone knows why people are suspicious about Neo. The Neo's magical technology needs to be activated by fair gold every day. It disappears every dawn. If they can't find enough, then all their gifts mean nothing. They chase it. Some practically, some obsessively, most selfishly. Adventurers all want gold, but only Neo needs it.
Cool.
So like I'm like a cyberpunk addict. I can work with that.
Okay. What are you wearing? What's your character look like?
Oh, I mean,
Sorry.
in like the good old days, billowing black cloak and sinister scarlet eyes.
Excellent. I forgot to ask Reese, what are you wearing? What will you be wearing on our adventure?
I went with what on the looks? Someone looking for peace. I don't know. I guess as innocuous as possible. Something comfortable but cheap.
That sounds suitable for a holy person. Colette, what about you?
I'm an amazement knight. These 8 orders of knights are the world's greatest warriors, each devoted to a single emotion, whether it be joy, hate, or fear. If they feel it, they can use it to fuel the power of their sentient arcane weapons. When consumed by the sacred sensation, they are incomparable warriors, capable of miraculous feats. Nothing can stand against their blades. Armies, mountains, even ideas. They can defeat anything. accept the passion that drives them. So that's me. And I've got the finest armor, covered head to toe, a full helm. Just my eyes, you can see. And I've got this trident.
That's all.
And it's beautiful.
Tridents. I could write a history of like tridents in role-playing games, but I think I'll spare boring you. Okay. Reese, you're just really very, very kind. I just like it means the world that you're all here. And I hope everyone's going to have a lot of fun. And I just hope this is going to be really healing for us all. Okay, this is where the game gets a bit weird. So like, I don't know if this will work or not, but we'll give it a shot. Okay, what we've got to do is we're going to take our dice like this, hold it up. Now we need to hold it in front of you and then close your eyes. Now close your eyes and lower it slowly towards the table. Just breathe deeply, be calm, and put the dice on the table. Now, on the count of 3, we're going to open our eyes. 1, 2, 3. Open your eyes. Everything has changed. You're no longer sitting in the rooms and in your apartments. It's almost like there is Colette's fake background is suddenly real. You are in somewhere which is quite familiar. Ella, tell me how Reese recognises this as the office of the librarian. Like, tell me what the librarian's office looks like. Give me the layout.
Oh man, I think that there is a sign over the door in Elvish that's like it's the same inscription as the one to the Way of the Spider in Lord of the Rings over the door. Recognize that immediately. Get kind of punched with nostalgia.
Oh wow, that's great. I feel like now we define the librarian being Lord of the Rings geek. Okay, you're in there, in the table. I notice everything's incredibly familiar, except everything's off. As I said, described to like Colette's fake screen background, everything is just textured wrong. It's like everything's like rough. Everything's not quite high enough resolution. You get the sense of like, remember like old video games, the tessellization, so you can sort of see things popping into reality. As you look around, it becomes more detailed, and the stuff towards the edge of your vision isn't quite as real. And it's nothing feels. The air feels wrong. It feels like sandpaper. It's just everything is slightly wrong in your world. You're all sitting around the table. When I say you as real human beings, as you were in the real world, you're sitting around the table in a circle. All of you look as the only real things in the room. There was an exception to that. There was the hyper real thing, which is the dice. As in those dice which you were passed around, are sitting on the table, slowly rotating in front of you. They feel heavy. They feel they pulse the camera like the ring does in Lord of the Rings in the adaptation. It's got that level of like, imagine the pan, the sort of the lens doing its floop thing, which I believe is a technical term. You're sitting there and you take a painful breath. Moira looks around and she's first to act. It worked. Thank God it worked. She grabs the D20 off the table in front of her. There is not a burst of light. There is not a sound of reality rewarping, but suddenly, without any warning, standing before you, a clear a clear half foot taller is Moira. She is in a striking outfit. She's wearing white PVC. It's kind of a nun's habit, but with like a tattoo over her eyes, like a cross, like this. She has a crucifix around her neck. In the middle of the crucifix, she has the D20 glows there. She's got a scarf over her mouth, and through the slight muffle, she says, "I'm sorry. This is for the best." And then she disappears. She did like there's like a literal magical effect, and it's like a real. Sorry, you've all seen movies. We know what magical effects look like. No, you don't. Magical effects look like magical effects. There's something weird about seeing something which clearly can't exist because it's there, and there's something like off about it. And then you are left alone, sitting around the table with these dice in this slightly off, creepy room. I'm going to step back and allow the players to interact and do whatever they wish. So feel free to talk and interact.
What the fuck was that? Did either of you know that she was going to do that?
What did she mean by, like, it worked? What?
Well, this isn't real, right? Like, you can feel that, right? Colette, you can feel this isn't right.
I don't know what's going on here. I don't know how are we here?
Can we leave?
I don't know. I'm gonna walk towards the door. Can we leave this room?
That's right. You walked about to say the room seems weird. Like it's a smallish room. I mean, it's big enough to have a table you play a game in, and it's got the librarian's office stuff. And it's got a window in there, and it's got a door. So you go to the door, and the door you start to pull it. And the door kind of opens slowly, and there's darkness ahead of you. And in the darkness, Colette, what were the colours of the rugby team?
Green and purple.
Okay, there are green and purple jerseys out there. And for a second, you think it's a rugby team looking for a scrum. And I'm right at the edge of my rugby knowledge right here. But they lurch out and you realise it's not. These kind of there's a sort of echo of Colette's kind of random boyfriends. But what is inside them is not flesh, it's not blood. It is weird. And that, like, it's pretty much like if you imagine like a Hoover mated with like a bag of meat or something, and pushed into a humanoid shape, like coils connecting and breathing heavily, and like the claws are raised out, and they look at you with the only word you describe as hunger, and then starting to lurch towards you. The door is open between you and them. What do you do, Ella? Sorry, Reese.
I slam the door shut. Slam the door shut.
Wise move.
Put my arm out to stop the others from coming closer. I go, shit, fuck, shit. And then I'm going to grab my dice.
Okay, great. We'll pause for a second just as Reese is reaching out. I want to say, like, I'm going to go in there. Oinks and Colette, what are you thinking? Actually, start with Oinks. What's Oinks thinking right now?
What the fuck? Do I have, like, CO2 poisoning or something? Like, is this, like... I haven't been drinking. I've been... What is going on? This feels... I have a gas leak. I have a gas leak in my flat.
I actually watched the Community episode, which is the Halloween one with the zombies in last night. So this is weirdly feeling familiar. The gas leak. What about Colette? How's Colette responding to this frankly disturbing situation?
I just cannot process it. Like Colette is just like stuck in a kind of like not sure whether this is like the best and most like it's the most exciting thing that's happened in forever, but it's also fundamentally impossible, bringing back all of the regret and all of the things that haven't happened. But with that, seeing Moira, like remembering the like way that she spun Tales and thinking about that is kind of thrilling, and she's kind of into whatever is happening. I think Colette's into whatever is happening here in a way that doesn't, I don't know, just yeah.
It's almost like I don't think it gets sounded like Colette's both enjoying it and also hasn't quite accepted it's real. Like it's almost like a roller coaster for like it feels almost. Anyway, we get to dig into all these things. I just want to emotionally ground everyone in a second, and we move over to Reese and Ella. Reese, you're reaching out, you grab it. The second you touch it, you transform. Tell me what you look like now. I tell you what, I give you free infinite budget to do your magic transformation sequence from your cartoon. So like. You can look weird, and if you don't look sufficiently cool, I will amp up your coolness.
Okay, I think that Reese immediately looks older, a little bit broader, but with kind of like bleached white kind of shock of like sort of cut short, jagged, like thick hair. weather-beaten, deeply kind of sun-tanned skin, a couple of scars, and is wearing what at first looked like innocuous clothes. But if you look closer, you'll see that every stitch, every seam in the manner of like painted icons is stitched with scripture in a language that is impossible to read and is constantly shifting and changing. It's fluid like mercury. And there are just like thousands and thousands and thousands of lines of prayers to hundreds and hundreds of different gods all across their clothes that are almost invisible to the eye unless you're close enough to see them, in which case they kind of catch the light and it's just this shifting kind of silver thread. And they have a big quarterstaff across their back.
That is beautiful. Reese is standing there, and now significantly different looking. At this moment, like Ox and Colette have a chance to grasp, and then the door comes crashing down as these creatures are starting to lurch in. Reese has a moment to do something. Like, is there anything you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I want to use my power. Shit, fuck. I've grabbed my dice. I guess I want to talk to Chance.
Pick up your dice. Okay, like, what's Chance like? Well, I guess it was always going to have to come down to this, wasn't it? You recognise the voice. It sounds just like the librarian. Tell me a little about the librarian. Don't worry.
Oh no! Oh man! Well, Ava or Max, let me know if you have anything you want to change or add. In my head, like a gay man, older, maybe like kind of quietly like intelligent, soft-spoken, not super loud or brash, but at the same time kind of has like quite a quick wit and is quite funny, but in a very dry way. Yeah, that's kind of what's in my head.
We definitely we'll pick up more on this later, actually. And Chance says, "Well, we must indeed take a chance here. And you stand at the precipice, and we must leap, and we must give you a moment to take your breath. This one is free. Very little is free in this world, Reese, as you'll soon discover, I'm afraid. And there's a miracle in front of you, and basically there's a barrier, like it's just the books kind of fly up the wall, and it forming a temporary barrier to give you a kind of a moment to sort of try to pull yourselves together as a group. You've definitely got time to sort of talk to each other now, whilst the thing's being held back. This is all in your head, by the way. No one else sees anything, and then time speeds up again.
I turn to Colette and Onyx. Pick up your dice right now.
Shit, fine. And I grab it.
And I don't really need asking, like I'm already reaching by the time I've twigged that there's some way something is happening. Something is happening to those dice.
In beautiful synchrony, I imagine Unks and Colette's hands both reaching out in that kind of from either side of the table. We get the moment you both grab it simultaneously.
Yeah.
And we'll go with Max, who described Unks' transformation moment.
Oh, I think it looks like for a second the light goes off, but just on me. Very dramatic. Maybe there's a little bit of thunder. You don't know if you've imagined it or if it was real. And I look up and I'm wearing a cloak and it's falling over my face. And
Yeah, cool.
I pull the hood up because I can't see. And I have my eyes, the whites of my eyes have gone black, and my irises are very red, and I have like dark eyeshadow just surrounding my eyes and just a dark lip, and I look rad as fuck and also very scary.
That's great. Honestly, My Chemical Romance video would be very proud of you, Max.
Helena's playing in the background.
Yeah, that's what I say. Obviously, that's the power moment. We get the Helena chords crashing in. Everything's fantastic. Ava, what about Colette? How does the Colette look like now? Give her the moment.
So like almost like a kind of wireframe of the like intersections between leaves of armor that are actually like kind of like these white feathers that have this kind of piping around them, but the piping appears first, like kind of like bursting out of the heart and like reaching around the body in various directions and creating this kind of like web of like high elf armor style, like tall, elaborate panels. And like this trim, this kind of piping, like is bright kind of, it's the neon like pink and teal and blue and just radiating in this kind of like rippling pattern, and she just like becomes taller, and these gorgeous pauldrons and just everything just becomes like this enormous refined little power of things, and just becomes, and then a fucking trident. Beautiful, tall, like so tall, like ridiculously tall, like impossible to wield in any normal circumstances. Like looks like it's made out of glistening ice. And I just like step into this and feel like I've been there forever.
I love that. I tell you what, I immediately get the image, like the fact unless anyone objects, I think Colette has to be the tallest person in the group because we can literally look down on everyone now.
1,000%. Yep.
Yeah. That's great. I love it. Okay, listen, you get Colette. The fact you're nearest the door, I reckon you get. The thing is, the books are starting to break down now, and these creatures, and you suddenly realize they're fallen. You don't know how you know that, but it's inside your head, just as sure as your ability to know what weapons do. You know how to wield this weapon and what you can do. It's all these things are just in you now. Like these things are lurching towards you and about to break free. Colette, what do you do?
Like after like just staring in wonder for like a fragment of a second at this bizarre.
Yeah, pause for a second. Actually, this is where to pick up one of your rules. You basically have to track your emotion level, and like you've got a rating there. And level 1 is John is pretty amazed. Like like that's a pretty solid amazement. As in, oh my god, I've just won the. I've rolled 7 6s in a row. That's a pretty it's an exciting moment in a game. Level 2 wonder is kind of like fuck. Level 3 is like maybe once in a life you'll feel this. Like level 4 is enough to actually incapacitate you. So that's kind of like 4 is definitely the level of humans don't really feel that, and like it's mentally harmful to feel that level of anything.
Yeah.
So I would say this is a level 2 feeling, or actually I'm like it's level 3. If isn't if arriving in another fantasy world and turning into a fucking high elf, level 3. Agree?
Yeah. No, I think this is like the peak of everything. Like just watching these transformations, watching people change into things, and watching me get to be this thing that I have, like feels like a version of what I used to be, but
the sword
that I haven't felt for 10 years.
Your trident speaks to you, and everyone can hear that. The trident goes, just go for them. Don't worry, they can't hurt you.
I do it.
Fantastic.
I know that I ticked the box that said deceitful, but like in that instant, I cannot remember. I have no idea. And so I twirl the thing, and I actually take the other end to start with, and just like
great
as one's coming in, just wait for it to spear on it.
Right.
And then,
let's step into I'm going to basically step into the mechanics for a second. Like this is the main reason this sort of first encounter, as well as dramatic and interesting, but it's also a soft introduction to the mechanics. The way you attack something is you roll a dice pool. A dice pool is your statistic in a dice. In your case, like you can attack with dexterity, can't you, Ava?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. So you take your number in your dice pool of that, so 6-sided dice.
Yep.
You add if you add an advantage, you add an extra dice. The fact you have a sword and you're feeling your emotion, you always add an advantage to that. So that's 4 dice.
Yep.
So I'm just checking your abilities, see if there's anything particularly useful. And basically, you roll these 4 dice, and you tell me how many 4 pluses you get.
Yep. And it's just the 4d6s.
Yeah, these 4d6s, which is your stat plus an advantage because you've got a sword out.
That's 4.
Fantastic. You kill two of them. Come through the door. And basically, there's probably like 3 or 4 of them. Like, there's not a huge number. But this was anyone's tried. We'll come back to this in a second. You take 2 of them down and take them 2 of them down hard. Tell me what that looks like.
So it's one of like what I'm assuming they're kind of like charging in towards me.
Yeah,
and,
lurching.
I kind of get into like the perfect kind of stance, and it just kind of like the first one like falls onto me, falls onto the spear, and I kind of almost like whip it around. Almost, I think I might be attempting to trebuchet here, and like kind of like flick the body around in a way that gives me the weight onto the second one with the 3 prongs. And just pin it down onto the floor.
Yeah, expertly use the momentum against it. This is magnificent. Like, actually, here's like, so like, there's this huge rush of, oh my god, that actually happened. One of them, they both appear staying down, and something actually happens notably. A coin roll, something flies out of one of these fallen and hits the table where the dice were. Onks, your eyes as a guide towards it. It's a small circular coin. It pulses red. It's red like your eyes. Tell you a question, Onks. Let's talk about your real life. What's the most you've ever wanted something?
Oh, shit. I think I was. This is a very recent memory. I was walking down the street and I passed a gay bar. And I just like glanced in and I saw 2 just older butch lesbians just like in converse, just like looking so good, just like leather jacket, like, you know, and just like chatting each other up. And I realized that I've just alienated myself from my own community to the point where I would not be recognized as one of these people. So I think that.
It's a tragedy of Onks in that they're somebody who like read the person we read as most queer as kids now is there, and you know, and that you probably think about that. You've got these beautiful coin, the idea that you look at it and you want it more than that. You know that everything in your life would be so much easier if you just had this little beautiful red coin, and it hits you right in your. It's not just like it's not a simple emotion like a lust. It's the idea. Oh yeah, this will satisfy me at least for a couple of seconds. Do you want to grab it?
I pounce on it.
Great. Take a coin. I'll throw one over you. You know that you can. You realise there's a slot in your neck which you can insert it into. You know, full on Cronenberg beat. And you power up. What was your gift, by the way?
Energy blade.
Of course it is. Describe your energy blade kick into action, please.
Oh man. I mean, the thing is that I want to describe it as an energy blade powering up, but that is the opposite of descriptive. But just like a... And then just like... Oh, is it slightly flaming? Can it be slightly flaming?
Just this like game, it could be literally anything you want.
Then it is blood red, and it looks like a fire blade.
Marvelous! It's radiating the room because let's be honest, like Clat doesn't have much like light effects, but Onks does. Like this, everything is now in like slime light in London. This is a great club scene.
Oh, and when it powers up, my eyes, the red of my eyes, turn like the same kind of light. Yeah. Like
the slow pulse of your eyes and your swords become as one. The coin, the sudden rush hits you like the excitement of kissing someone you've wanted to kiss forever in that kind of way. That there's a thrill of the new, and the sword feels comfortable in your hands. The AI speaks to you in a kind of sounds like an old MP3 download. Like it's like really old, as in it's very bad bandwidth, and says system activated, engage calmly. You have an action if you want to do something. You want to try to see what this feels like?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Great. Now we roll your dice pool. The way this works is, what's your... I believe you can use dexterity or strength, depending which one you want.
Oh, I'm using... I was going for dex.
Great. So use your dex. You add your d10, because for reasons of rules. So roll dex plus 1d10. So 3d6 plus 1d10.
This is a
Yes. Cool.
2.
Is it a d6 for every point of?
Yes. Sorry, I meant to say 3d6. Sorry.
Because their dex is 4.
Oh, sorry. Onks. Yeah.
They min-maxed.
Yeah, good work. So you roll 4d6 plus the d10. And once again, 4 plus is a success, including on the d10. So in other words, the d10 is just a better dice.
So I got 2.
2, that's great. Were any of them 6 plus? Or 6 or 6?
No.
Okay. Let's say this is probably a good time to mention another rule. Is basically any 6s can be, each 6 can be used to activate anything called special on your sheet. Which is relevant. So in your case, you picked a special probably on it. Which one did you pick? Just a matter of interest.
A special. So where is that?
Beneath the energy blade, you're allowed to pick one of the 3 below. It was either intangible, searing, or neurosleep.
Oh right, sorry. It's hard to see on my phone.
Oh no.
Well, I mean, searing.
That's fantastic. It's the trick. Obviously, if you've rolled a 6 on any of your dice, you'll be able to activate that ability. In this case, you can't, but I just wanted to highlight that it's a possibility. You take 1 down. Oinks, describe how you move forward and take down one of the remaining fallen.
I think I hear the blade speak to me, and I grin, and I think I move fast enough that you can't see me for a second. I'm just a blur. And when I reappear, I've just slit its throat.
Yeah, there's a burst of light. Another coin drops out of its head, and you grab it out of the air. Unless you want to, your instinct is to grab it out of the air. I want to know how fast you are. I mean, like, Dex 3 is fast. You know, you're like an Olympic athlete. You know, you've got that level of like stuff there. Onks is faster than that. Onks is distinctly like stuff you see in movies. And there's a lot there, and there's a real weird power rush. Reese, like I was about to say, I'm going to give you 1 action. That's it. There's only 1 left, but it gets an attack, which I'm going to just roll quickly. Desperately reaching out for Onks. It rolls a critical fail, which is when you roll everything from less than 4 and you include 1/1. That's a critical fail. I'm about to say that leaves it open for Reese to finish off if you like. Like, if so, would you like to try to attack it?
Yes, please.
In which case, how do you wish to attack it? Because you have a variety of options.
Ooh.
Hitting it with a quarterstaff is fine, but you also have like a blast, I think, of some kind.
Okay. Learning the game. That's okay.
No.
It's a beta test. We can learn. So let's try out some of the fancy powers whilst we've got the chance. So that would be using a scripture, right?
Yes, the scripture would be noun blast. The joy of the actual thing is you get to define what that blast is. So in other words, like, how does a god of fate like blast people?
Yeah. No, I mean, you know, extraordinarily bad luck.
That would be that'd be my thought too.
Yeah. I think that do I need to roll for
As I say,
this?
your standard roll for any kind of spell casting is rolling wisdom. So in other words, you roll wisdom and include your d12, because anything which you involving your d12, so anything involving god shit, you get to include your d12.
Okay, so let's
Colette may now be feeling bad that she only gets used to d6. Your d8's time will come.
So let's roll this and see how it goes and then describe it. Oof. Oh, so close to a critical failure. But it's fine. I got 1 success.
Which what dice was it on?
On the d6.
Cool. I was about to say, the one thing I want you to look out for, if you ever roll a 1 on the d12, tell me.
Yes, that invokes my god. No, I got a 3 on my d12.
Cool, that's fine. I just want to heighten that rule. Okay, you take it down. Plus, it's like minor piece of luck. The fact it's already like took a critical fail means it's taken a wound anyway. Finish it off however you wish.
Yeah, so I think like kind of my idea I think still works even with this roll, because I think what happens is Reese swings the quarterstaff from behind their back, and it's just like a piece of wood. Like, it's not fancy. It's kind of worn by being held a lot, but it's just a staff. And they don't go to like swing or bludgeon or attack. They just kind of tap their staff against this like rugby player vacuum cleaner flesh creature's foot, and just tap it just hard enough that the thing staggers, slips, falls onto its own sword, and like its sword just like skewers through its neck.
Excellent. It's own called claws actually, because it's like
Oh yeah.
It's a thingy scissor hands. So it's sort of scissor
nice.
hands falling on his own. Like, that's pretty. We cut away at that moment because it has a, in the movie, it's an implied pretty horrible thing, but it goes still. Everything's quiet suddenly. I said, oh, note you have an extra gold down. Everything's quiet. Everyone's breathing heavily, and you realise you're not breathing that heavily. That was barely a workout. Feel free to talk to each other.
Okay, so this is either the best thing that's ever happened or the worst thing that's ever happened, and I'm really not sure which.
I'm
right now.
Solidly leaning towards best. Did you see that shit?
Yeah, but also we could die. I feel like it's important to emphasize we could die.
I don't think we could. Again, did you see me?
You put a coin in your neck.
It felt great.
So that's the title of the episode. You put a coin in your neck.
Okay, Colette, this is terrifying. You are so tall.
This is a great look on you.
I think I'm just me, honey.
Marvelous.
I can't even disagree. You're right. You say it and I see it.
This is how she's always looked to me.
Where is Moira? Moira! I don't... Do you think she's all right?
We
Did
pause
she-
for a second. Sorry, Colette, please. Sorry, jump on that.
Did she do this? Did she do this for us?
I mean, she must have had... Yeah, I mean, she must have had a reason. Maybe it is a good thing. A good, deadly, weird, hallucinogenic thing.
I'm going to have everyone link. Everyone's got frankly, everyone seems to have a real like adrenaline rush on going on, which is frankly understandable. But I think that's going to crash a little. And now you're at these bodies on the floor, and the bleeding is slowly. There's like there's the lingering moment. Oh no, this was violence. Like, that was awesome. But at the same time, if we're a little bit further away from the end of the session, I might sort of ask people about, have they ever seen violence in real life? But I'm not going to ask that. I just want to take for a second to think about, has your persona ever seen anything like this before? Not obviously zombies with claws who look like rugby players, but actually people being hurt. And just think that for a second, and we'll maybe come back to that next session. But as it is, as Reese was looking up, the corridor where they came from, I said it was dark up there. But now that your eyes have adjusted to the light, and Onks is actually radiating red everywhere off their sword. You see there's some steps curling upwards towards a trapdoor in the ceiling back there.
Reese is going to step to one side, find the waste paper basket in the corner of the room where it's always been, quite politely throw up in it.
Oh, God.
Wipe their mouth. Come back. This is the only way to go, but we need to go that way. I mean, I'm not going to stay here forever.
Anyone going to answer Reese as he's setting up the room?
Are you
We gotta
good,
go.
dude?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine. I don't know if you noticed the corpses.
I mean, they were attacking us. Like what?
They also have claws for hands.
Yeah, isn't that like fucking cool?
We can talk about this in another place.
Yeah, shit, let's go. Maybe they have some more of those like little thingies.
Putting a pin in that.
Onks, the word immediately appears in your head. Fair gold.
I think I keep that to myself.
Yeah.
This is my thing.
And all of it's yours. Okay. Actually, you're heading
I'm kind of like picturing myself like having to like realizing that I actually now have to like kick a body off either end of this enormous thing, and like I just like kick one of them over just to try and get a better look at the face and see whether like they're an X, basically.
You kick it over and you look at them and it's like, how well do you even remember your exes? Or do they kind of merge into one? Like, because I'm thinking this person has the face that looks a bit like two of them.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's like you've got two anecdotes mixed up in your head somehow, and it's now they're lying on the floor with a big metaphor. They got stabbed right through it. And this, yeah.
I think like maybe if it's all right with you, Ava, like I think that Reese probably turns around, looks at you, looking at the corpse, trying to figure out which ex it was.
Yeah.
And then like tries to offer you like a slightly uncertain kind of smile. To be honest, Pete Smith was always an arsehole.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, but this is weird.
It is.
It is, but
we got to go up, right?
yeah, and I'd prefer it if you were on our side. So
You make your way up the. Are we going to open the trapdoor? Are you marching your way up there?
I mean, I think that Reese is going to get there and then turn to Colette and say, since you now have 3 feet on me and a fucking massive trident, do you want to go first?
Yes, of course. Colette, you open the trapdoor, pushing upwards. You push up the trapdoor and burst into where you're upstairs. You realise you're in a fantasy bar. All the clientele are turning to look at you simultaneously. Not like disturbed or anything, like people have just come out the trapdoor, but they're definitely turning to look at you. But there's an awful realisation. You recognise this bar. This is the bar you started your first ever adventure in the fantasy game you all played together back as a teenager. You hear a little voice in your head, like just as you sort of realise, welcome to the Neon Shadowlands. And there we end our first part of the adventure. Congratulations, that was amazing, everyone. Now with the ceremonial recollection of the dice in. Ella, please, could you pass me your D12? Thank you. Onks. Thank you. Ava, that should be just make sure I do the trick. And that one isn't mine. I've lost mine. And this one was mine. Thank you for playing.